Hey guys, this is Marcin from B.S Audio Tools again, and today I want to show you B.S Macro Morph, a new device I just released today. B.S Macro Morph is not an audio effect, it's a modulator that lets you quickly and easily modulate all macros of a rack simultaneously. I think we all know what racks are, and pretty much everyone loves racks because they are super insanely useful. And as an example, today we're using the Stop Siren rack that comes with Ableton. Here's a quick sneak peek how it sounds. Really cool sound, I love that. We can obviously modulate a lot of parameters inside that rack with the macros. So for example, when I move the pitch around while playing it, that sounds really cool. But what also sounds really cool if we, for example, change the LFO amount. Now, what would it sound like if we move the pitch and the LFO amount together? This is actually really hard to do just like this with the mouse, because we can only ever modulate one parameter. What we can obviously do is to use an LFO, map 1 to the pitch, and then open this, map 1 to the LFO amount, then maybe change the amount here, and we can have a look how that might sound. That sounds also really cool. But now we are always bound to that one shape, and if we want to do different shapes for the two macros, that's really hard to do like that. So we're going to ditch the LFO for now and go over to my macro morph. The idea of that is that you can map any rack with just one click to those 8 shaper devices here that then let you draw in different shapes. So let's just quickly do that. We can click the map here, so it will blink. When we click anything that's not a rack, it won't do anything. But as soon as we click on a rack, it will map that rack. As you saw, it instantly mapped all of the 8 macros. And now we have this position knob down here, and we can scroll through all of those 8 shapers. Now we can have a look how that sounds. Okay, that's interesting, but probably not exactly what we're going for. So what we can do is to either draw in different shapes here for each of the macros, but that's kind of tedious. So what I like to do is to randomize everything. We love randomization here. So we're just going to hit random and see what comes out of that. Okay, that's not super useful. And that, on the other hand, sounds really, really cool. And we can morph through some really cool relations of the macros that you normally wouldn't try to explore, that the randomization here makes possible. Of course, we have some more control over how the randomization will work. So we can set an amount of points. We can choose if we want to have curved curves or not. We can have the variation at a rather low level, so it won't differ a lot over the course of the position knob. Or we can have that up to at 100%, and you will see it will get a lot crazier when it comes to the movement of the position knob. And you can hear we get some really, really cool variations out of that rack. And this is also superior to just clicking the random button up here, because we can actually move our position knob between those different states of the rack, which also sometimes gets really cool results. Now, let's explore the other controls here real quick. We have a smooth, a global smooth, and a global jitter. So you can see when we turn up the global jitter, it will start to move them slightly. And with the smooth, we can smoothen this movement out. It also smoothens the movement that happens when we move our position up here. We can hit the reset all, which resets all of our shapes to the default, and will also reset all of our parameters down here. That's what we're going through next. So we have a depth control, which I think should be kind of self-explanatory. It controls the modulation depth, same as the offset, which controls the modulation offset. Then we have a jitter. This jitter gets multiplied with this jitter. So if we have the jitter at 15% here, we can have no jitter at all for the filter code up. We'll always see the name of the macro up here, or we can send it to 200%, so it will get double the jitter of everything else. And we can also do the same for the smoothing. And we of course also have grid snapping, which you can turn off here if that's desirable, and we can also increase or decrease the grid steps. Something else we can do for each of those shapes is to reset them to their default, so we can quickly draw in something new. We can randomize each shape individually, and we can also lock a shape. If we lock that shape and hit the randomize all, every other shape will be randomized, but this shape will stay the same. So this, for example, quite useful if we have one of the macros that we do not want to modulate. For example, we do not want to modulate the filter cutoff, so we'll have it as something like that, turn the jitter off, and have it locked, so whenever you want to randomize everything, the filter cutoff will always stay the same. We also have this little eye icon here, which basically shows us the current position of each macro in a little visualizer, which I think is super cool. This makes it sometimes a little cooler to set some values, like the offset, for example, for the filter cutoff, if we have that hidden. If we want to unmap the rack again, we can hit this little square here, and it will leave it at the current position. We can, of course, easily just remap it. And we can also switch to the macros 9 to 16. Normally it's set to 1 to 8, but we can also modulate the other 8 macros of a rack. Yeah, that's already it. I can quickly show you some cool results we can get with the dub siren, and then I hopefully will see you in the next one.